Welcome to Othar's Garage. In this video, I'll be working on the Team Associated B6.4 Bag 1. So let's get started. Alright, so Bag 1 is going to be the steering belt cranks assembly. But before we start, since all the bearings were in this bag, I'm going to go ahead and pop open the seals of every bearing, clean them out, make sure there's no grease in there, and then drop some bearing oil in there. So I'm not gonna show how I do that in this video. I have a video where I've done that already, so I'll link that in the description below, and I'll try to put a card in the video as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and clean these bearings, and I'll be right back. All right, so my bearings are clean. I didn't worry about doing the small bearings because they're not gonna really see a lot of load. So take note on page 3. We're gonna reference this a lot. It's got the actual size of all the hardware. So make sure you check to make sure you're using the correct size screws, bearings, shims, and whatnot. So let's go ahead and get these items off the parts trees. Now, I would definitely recommend cleaning all the bearings. I've seen some of the bearings were oil filled, some of them were grease filled. It was inconsistent. So definitely take the extra time to clean them out with the method that I do, and it'll ensure that your bearings run smoothly, and it'll make sure that they don't get seized up. They'll be nice and free and consistent. Trim and sand if necessary. I don't like having anything sharp that can catch on anything or attract carpet, and then it just sticks to the car. This is an easy way to keep everything nice and clean. So I did get the aluminum belt cranks. I have them linked in the description, but I'm not going to install them just yet. I want to run the plastic belt cranks because I ran them on my B6.3, never had any issues, but I want to see how the car feels with the plastic belt cranks and then upgrade to the aluminum and see how they feel and see if I can tell a difference and whether or not it's a worthy upgrade for y'all to get. All right, everything is nice and smooth. Take the extra time to focus on these details. You'll have a nice, clean looking car, and it shouldn't attract as much carpet or dirt and clump up on your car. All right, so take note of the orientation of the steering rack. The rack has top written on it right here. So this is going to be the top, and this is going to be, this side is facing the front of the vehicle. All right, so we're going to need 2 8mm ball studs. We're also going to need 2 1mm washers. And we're going to install in this orientation here. So it looks like the ball studs will be facing the front of the vehicle. And you don't need to crank down on it too hard. Once you feel it shouldered up, it's good. You don't want to strip out that plastic. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and install our 4x7 by 2.5 bearings. These are going to be the smallest bearings in the kit, and you want to make sure that the blue seals are visible. There you go. Now we can install the 5mm long ball stud onto the steering bell crank. It's going to install in the second hole from the edge. Again, you don't need to tighten down too hard. It's going into plastic. You don't want to strip it out. So these bell cranks are directional. This is the left side. You can see here that there's a cutout. And on the right side, there's also a cutout. So you don't want to mix those up. So we have our left side and our right side. We're going to install using the M3x12 button head cap screws and the steering hat bushings. And we have two different bushings, and we need to use the shorter ones right here. So go ahead and install the screw through the bushing. Then it's going to go through the bearing like so. And this is the left side, so we're going to go ahead and install the screw in this hole right here. The bushing is there to prevent you from over tightening it. Once you feel it kind of snug up, it's good, and you want to make sure that everything can move under its own weight. You want it to be nice and free. So we go ahead and do the right bell crank. So again, we're going to put the steering hat bushing, the shorter one, onto the M3x12 screw, and then install our steering bell crank. And again, once you feel it snug up, it's good. You want to make sure it can move nice and free. This one you can see has a little bit of friction, so I'm going to go ahead and loosen it up just a little bit and free it up. Okay, there you go. Now we can move on to the next step, which is bag 1, step 2. We're going to go ahead and install our 4x7x2.5 bearings and the bell cranks themselves. Make sure the blue seals are visible. So this is one of the new features that the B6.4 has. It has adjustable steering height on these bell cranks. So we're going to use these steering hat bushings, and there's a high and a low setting depending on the kickup that we're using. And in the instructions, it's telling us to use the high setting since we're going to be using low ride heights and our caster angle. And I'm just trying to go through right now. Looks like we're going to be using the 22-degree kickup for the caster plus a 0 degree on the bulkhead, and looks like we're using the 2.5 caster block insert, so we're going to be at a total of 25 degrees for our total caster. So according to the chart in bag 1, step 2, right here, we're at 25 degrees. It's showing us to use the high setting. So we're going to install the steering hat bushings below the belt cranks. So we can go ahead and install our steering hat bushings below the belt cranks, like so. Then we're going to take the two M3 by 18 socket head cap screws, and we're going to install onto our front ball stud mount, and we're going to install in these two holes, here and here. And you don't need to tighten down too hard on this. It is going into plastic, so once you feel it shoulder up, it's good. And you also want to make sure that everything rotates nice and free under its own weight, just like that. So I'm just going to back this off just a hair. Make sure there's no play, and it moves back and forth nice and free. You want to make sure it does that so there's no, you want to reduce the stress on the steering servo and make sure that there's no binding either. So it moves nice and free. All right, so the last thing we're going to do is we're going to install the last two ball studs. These are the 10mm ball studs. So we're going to go ahead and install them on the outermost hole with the 1mm aluminum washer. So there it is. That's the end of bag 1. This is one of the new items in the kit, the new ball stud mount. In my unboxing video, I had mentioned that there's only 2 settings in the front, 2 holes. In the B6.3, there were 3 holes. I don't have a B6.3 one in front of me in order to see where that hole location was, but we'll see how this works out moving forward, and I'll try to report back in my review video. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe if you did. Please stay tuned for the next video, which is going to be bag 2. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see y'all in the next one.